Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today my topic is the cervical plexus, and in this video I will demonstrate you about how to draw the cervical plexus and its different branches and origins. So basically the cervical plexus is formed by upper four divisions of the combination of upper four divisions of the spinal nerves. So here are five cervical vertebra I'm drawing roughly. Uh, C1 to C5, and basically there are two part of the cervical plexus. The first one is the dorsal ramus and the second one is the ventral ramus. Firstly, I will draw the different branches of the dorsal ramus. The first branch of dorsal ramus of cervical plexus is formed by the combination of second cervical vertebra and the third cervical vertebra, and it is known as the greater occipital nerve. The second branch solely arise from the second cervical vertebra known as the suboccipital nerve, and it does not supply the skin of the back. The third nerve, the other branches arise from individually from C3, C4, and C5, and basically they supply the skin of the back of the neck. Now I will explain the different branches of the ventral ramus. The first one is the accessory branch, which arise from all five cervical vertebrae, and this is the spinal root of the accessory nerve from C1 to C5. Now, the second one arises from C1, cervical vertebra 1, and it has two parts. The upper part of C1 supply the genioid and the thyroid muscle. Both muscles are supplied by the upper part of the C1 nerve. And the lower part of C1 nerve, along with the C2 and C3, are specified to supply the superior and inferior branches of the ansa cervicalis. Now, the main branch, which arise from C2, is the lesser occipital, and after the lesser occipital, the another important nerve known as the greater auricular nerve arise from C2 and C3, and it is specified to supply the auricular area of the face. And the next nerve of the ventral ramus of the cervical plexus arises from C2 and C3, and it is known as the transverse cervical. Arise from C2 and C3. The another branch of the ventral ramus arise from C3 and C4, known as supraclavicular branch of the ventral ramus from C3 and C4. Now, the deepest part of the cervical plexus, ventral ramus of cervical plexus, arise from C3, 4, and 5. This is basically the deepest part of the cervical plexus, and it is known as the phrenic nerve from C3, 4, and 5. And it is the accessory phrenic nerve from nerve to subclavian. Now, I will explain you the nerve supply of the face and scalp by drawing the rough sketch. And now, basically different region of the face and scalp are supplied by the different nerves. Uh, Here is the auricular region and the infro-posterior region of the mandible. So now this blue point is known as the vertex, the top of the scalp, and anterior to vertex is supplied by first branch of trigeminal, below is second branch, and This is supplied by third branch of trigeminal nerve, and the posterior region of the scalp is supplied by the dorsal ramus, branches of dorsal ramus, like greater occipital from C2. Below the greater occipital region is supplied by the third occipital nerve from C3, and the skin of the back is supplied by the nerve from C3, 4, and C5, as I explained you before. Now, this region is the infraposterior region of the mandible, basically the inferior region of the auricle, and this is supplied by the two important nerves. The first one is the lesser occipital nerve from C2, and the other is the greater auricular nerve, the greater auricular nerve from C2 and 3. And below this infra-posterior region of the mandible, this region supplied by again two nerves. The first one is the transverse cervical nerve from C2 and 3, and below this is the supraclavicular region and supplied by supraclavicular nerve C3 and 4. Thank you.